Welcome back to Mind Over Matter with your host, Anya. Today, we are exploring a revolutionary shift in pain management, one that taps into the power of herbal medicine in ways you might have not imagined. Our guest, Bonnie D'Angelo, is a clinical herbalist, holistic health consultant, and aromatherapist with a Master of Science in Herbal Medicine. She is not just an expert, she is an innovator, blending science and herbal wisdom to create more effective natural remedies. As the herbal formulator behind cutting edge topical products, she has helped hundreds of people break free from chronic pain. If you ever wondered how herbal medicine can truly rival conventional pain management or even enhance it, this episode is for you. So let's dive in. So, Bonnie, many people dismiss herbal medicine as slow or less effective than pharmaceuticals. What's the biggest misconception about pain relief?
I think that is like one of the resounding issues with herbal medicine as it currently is. And that's why I've been working to develop new ways of delivering herbal medicine to people that is more effective because herbal medicine as a whole does take longer to see results. And when people are in pain, they want instant results. And so my husband and I worked for many, many years to develop the current products that our company carries. And one of the most important features is that most herbal medicines are highly diluted, especially essential oils, in carrier oils or in bases that really have no medicinal value. And so we use a proprietary formula of orthosilicic acid, which delivers the very forgotten but absolutely essential macronutrient silicon. And I believe that that's one of the keys to helping to make the herbal medicine more effective. Silicon is the third most abundant trace element in the human body and is absolutely essential for the formation of collagen, cartilage, and elastin. So these are the connective tissues of the body. And when we're talking about pain and restoration and healing from damage to these tissues, it's important that we deliver the main element that they need in order to build those connective tissues. And so orthosilicic acid is a formula that makes silica, which is commonly known as sand, water soluble so that it can be absorbed and used by the body. And so our formulas use orthosilicic acid as our base to dilute our herbal ingredients in. So that makes 100% of our ingredients have a purpose and are effective. And this is really important because if we look at places around the world where people are living longer, healthier lives that are commonly called blue zones, there's one common feature in all of those blue zones, and it's that their water sources are very high in silicon. So it's helping people to maintain the health of their body. And so when we talk about herbal medicine taking a long time to be effective, we have to look at the route of delivery. And when we're taking things orally and internally, it has to go through metabolic processes in the body and be assimilated by the body. And a lot of times people have health conditions that cause them to not be able to assimilate and use things as readily as other people can. And so by applying the herbal medicine topically, we bypass that metabolic process and we have a transdermal application that has a much higher rate of absorption. That combined with the use of orthosilicic acid helps to make them more effective. And I think if herbal medicine is going to start to replace more and more of allopathic medicine out in the world, we have to look at other modalities to help that delivery system. And so there's some really popular things like liposomal delivery, which essentially kind of creates a fat blob molecule that helps the supplement or the herbal medicine to pass through the digestive system And so this has allowed for greater absorption. But the next frontier of that is an amphiphilic delivery system, which is a bond of water and oil. And this mimics the body's cell's lipid bilayer, which has a hydrophobic and a hydrophilic tail that protects the cells. And this keeps things from entering and exiting the cell. And so, if we use a formula that mimics that cell's lipid bilayer, we can increase the ability of the body to absorb it. So there gets a lot of into the science of it, of why herbal medicine isn't always as effective as people would like it to be. And so this is part of that new frontier of finding ways to help the body to absorb and use the herbal medicine more effectively.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, can you share an example where herbal medicine outperformed traditional treatments for pain?
Well, sure. I mean, there's lots of studies, but I think the most important thing here, maybe to point out, is it's not a one or the other. So we kind of can get into a war of this or that. I think what's more important is studies that show how herbal medicine can increase the effectiveness of conventional or pharmaceutical medicine. So, one of the most important studies taking place right now is herbs like um, dyer's wood, which is kind of like a natural antibiotic. And when it's used in conjunction with antibiotic therapy, it makes the antibiotics more effective and reduces the risk of antibiotic resistance because the antibiotic works better in conjunction with the herb, and so the likelihood of somebody not responding to an antibiotic treatment and thus the bacteria becoming resistant to it is decreased. So I like to think of herbal medicine as not something in opposition to allopathic medicine or or conventional medicine, whichever term you want to use, but as something that can help to make it more effective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, pain management is not one size fits all. How do you determine the right herbal approach for someone dealing with chronic pain?
No, it's true. It's not a one size fit all.
Mhm.
There are underlying needs that everybody needs in pain management. So we need something that is called an analgesic, which is providing an instant kind of sedative relief to the muscular system to calm the inflammation and the spasms. Then people also all need the same underlying nutrition to help to build new muscular tissues and connective tissues. And then the variation comes into the little subtleties, like is somebody suffering from, like, for instance, fibromyalgia? So that's really kind of contained in the fluids of the joints. So you have the underlying need of everybody to analgesic, get rid of the immediate pain. And then secondarily, everybody needs similar nutrients in order to support the body's function. And then the third element comes in of the individual person. And that is difficult because in my holistic practice, I take a lot of my education from traditional Chinese medicine. And we do not look at the person as a disease, such as fibromyalgia. We look at the person as a history of underlying circumstances that have led them to a condition. Because one person could come into my office with fibromyalgia and I would treat them differently than somebody else who came into my office with the same condition. And that's because somebody could have a cold wind invasion, as it's termed in traditional Chinese medicine, and the other one could have a heat invasion. And so if they have a cold invasion, we want to treat them with herbs that are warming and soothing, versus if they have a heat invasion, we want to treat them with things that are cold and calming. And so while one of my companies makes products that are kind of generic for use for everybody, they include a harmonious balance of both warming and cooling herbs so that they lie somewhere in the middle, because everybody is individual and That's why we have so many different products and we get a lot of phone calls. Well, which one should I choose? And the question always comes down to the individual person and what their needs are. So there's never a one size fit all. And I think that's part of where herbal medicine and natural holistic health can differ from traditional allopathic medicine is we can spend more time getting to know the person and understand where this illness or this disease or dis-ease stemmed from. And sometimes you can trace things all the way back to even an emotional issue where somebody had a traumatic event in life that they're holding on to deep inside of their bodies. And that can manifest in different ways. So somebody can have a traumatic issue and they're holding on to that deep in the pit of their stomach. And they're unable to, in a term, digest their emotions. And so they stop being able to properly digest their food and assimilate their food. Now, the root cause is an emotional one. And in conventional medicine, they would treat it with drugs to help improve digestion or calm down acid reflux, whatever the person is experiencing, because they're treating symptoms. But they never get to the root cause of that this person is holding on to this emotional trauma. And so in holistic healthcare and in my practice in holistic health consultations, I work to build a relationship with my clients so that we can start to find out the deeper reasonings for why they have their illness. And sometimes this takes time. I love to tell the story of one of my favorite longtime clients. And I had been working with this person for a long time, and we had made a lot of headway on some of their chronic health issues, and they had quite a large number of them. But we were missing the mark just a little bit. And upon further time and further investigation with this person, I found out that one of their children had committed suicide, and they felt deeply responsible. And that was the true root cause of their illness. Now, that's something that herbal medicine can help with in conjunction with proper therapy, because herbs offer a supportive resonance to the body that helps to restore health slowly over time. And we live in an age where we want instant gratification and instant responses, but the body doesn't pivot on the drop of a hat. True healing takes time, and you have to be willing to give your body the grace and the space to allow itself to heal if you truly want to heal. So if your goal is to take a pill and not have to consider what's taking place in your body and you just want your symptoms gone, then there's those routes for you. But if you're looking for true healing, that's a lifelong journey and a lifelong path, because as you slowly begin to unravel your health issues, you may find other underlying things like the emotional causes, and those can take time to work through. And that's where herbal medicine is really beautiful, because it can come in and create a supportive role for long-term use. Whereas with a lot of pharmaceuticals with long-term use, you start to see a lot of negative health effects from them. There's a lot of side effects. And so 10, 15 years on a pharmaceutical, you could end up with a secondary medical condition that could be very detrimental to your health. But if you're working with a well-trained herbalist, you could spend 10 years on using herbal medicine appropriately and find a total restoration of your health over time.
Right, makes sense. So, is there a simple herbal remedy or routine that anyone listening can start using today for pain relief?
So one of my favorite things for pain relief, well, everybody can walk out the store and go and get some Epsom salts. But one of my favorite ones is going to be turmeric. It has many different ways that you can use turmeric. You can eat it as a fresh spice and grind it up in your food or use it as a powdered spice. It's also available as an essential oil, and you can dilute a small amount of turmeric and a carrier oil and apply that to your body for to help calm the inflammation. So, and I think that's a great home remedy because turmeric is available just about anywhere you go. And then it's kind of its sister root that's got a similar appearance is ginger, and the combination of turmeric and ginger together have numerous health benefits, both in the digestive system, but also for pain relief. And so the two of those can be used as essential oils, again, because they're both available that way, or as whole herbs that can be taken internally. So you can take them both simultaneously. You can take them internally and externally for finding some immediate pain relief.
That's amazing. So, while many people rely on pharmaceuticals, are there others seeking alternatives? Like, when should someone consider herbal medicine over conventional painkillers?
Well, I think people turn to natural alternatives when they feel disillusioned with the pharmaceuticals that they're using. So, for instance, one story I have is of a person that I met who had been in a car accident and had their one of their legs amputated. And they had been suffering in pain for about 3.5 years. And they were at that point in time addicted to pharmaceuticals because they had been taking them for so long, but they really did not alleviate all of their pain because they were still suffering in pain and had found no solution for it. And so I gave them a sample of one of our topicals, and we had never had anyone use it on an amputated leg before or any type of amputation. So I wasn't 100% certain if it was going to help them with things like their phantom pain. And they wrote back a few days later saying they wish they had met me 3.5 years ago. They put the topical on their leg when they started having pain, and in 2 to 3 minutes, their pain was gone. And so again, it comes back to a delivery method of the herbal medicine in our topicals. They're in that base of orthosilicic acid, which is helping to repair and restore the body's systems. But the other thing is there is a lot of proprietary processes that go into our topicals that work on energetic balances. So we have highly ionized water, which is commonly known as alkaline water, and highly ionized particles such as plasma are known to help restore magnetic connections within the body. And our body is essentially a miniature version of the cosmos. And space is made up of 99.9% plasma. And our bodies are similar to this because we all know that we're 85% water. But the water in our body is not like the water that comes out of your faucet or you see in your ocean. The water in our body is in what's called the fourth phase of water, known as plasma, which is exactly the same substance as the universe, the known visible universe, is made up of. And this is unique in that plasma is highly conductive of electricity. And so this is how magnetic electrical impulses are sent throughout space, but it's the same without our body. If we think about our nervous systems and our connective tissues and our connective fluids, they're all in this plasmic state. So they're moving energetically throughout the body. And so part of the processes that we use in our products are creating these ionized particles that have a magnetic resonance of healing for the body. And that's what makes them different and sets them apart. So we can see amazing results, such as the one with the person whose leg had been amputated, because in that instance, the body and the mind still recognizes that that leg is there. It doesn't recognize that it's been removed, and it doesn't stop trying to send signals. It's almost as if the leg is invisible, but still in existence on an energetic plane. And so when we talk about creating herbal preparations that are highly effective, we have to look at them in the same way we look at the human body, as a body, a soul, and a mind or a spirit, because we have to be able to have the physical substance and the energetic substance so that we can influence the body on a multi levels so that you can see true relief from the things that you're suffering from.
Mm-hmm. Right, makes sense. So, are there any risks or interactions people should be aware of when blending herbs with medicines?
Absolutely. There are a lot of herb drug interactions, and that's what makes it really important that people consult with a um, well educated herbalist, not just a run of the mill everyday herbal person who calls themselves an herbalist, but somebody who's been highly trained, because there's a lot of drug interactions, especially if you're on drugs like warfarin. There's a large number of herbs that will interact with them. And that's because they're all metabolized on the same pathway. And certain herbs can cause the body to more readily use a pharmaceutical drug, or they can cause a pharmaceutical drug to not be used at all. And I think this is where sometimes herbal medicine can get a bad rep in the newspapers and in the media, because people have these herb drug interactions because they don't know what they're doing. And just like you wouldn't take a pharmaceutical drug without consulting with a doctor, herbal medicine needs to be viewed in that light as well. You should consult with somebody who's trained in herbal medicine so that they can tell you about the possibility of any interactions with the current pharmaceuticals that you're taking.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, beyond healing people, you are deeply committed to protecting nature. Can you share how Michigan Protects is working to give back to the environment?
Yeah, so I started Michigan Protects because I realized as an herbalist, I was using a lot of herbs that were considered at risk for extinction. So just like we're all aware of animals going extinct, there are also plants that are going extinct. And some of these plants were some of my favorite herbal remedies that I relied on heavily. And I live off of a 23-mile parkway in a very urban area, and I'm very fortunate to have this parkway to go walk through. So I walk through my local woods. I don't see any of these herbs that are native to my local area. And so I started out by just growing some of these plants that are listed on the United Plant Savers at-risk species list, but I didn't have a lot of land of my own to grow them on. So I developed Michigan Protects so that we could start working with local land conservancy agencies to plant on protected lands. And so Michigan Protects last year planted over 18,000 native seeds in protected areas. And these seeds, we have an agreement with the land conservancy agencies that these plants will be unharvested and allowed to grow and reproduce naturally so that they'll be available for the next 7 generations. And it was my way of giving back to the community of plants that I was using on a daily basis. And so Michigan Protects is still kind of in its infancy because we just started the nonprofit last year, but we're working to expand with hopes of planting over 50,000 seeds in 2025. And we have over 1,200 plants in our greenhouse that will be mature enough to be planted outdoors this next season. And so we're working to continue to grow. We would like to see our entire state repopulated with native medicinal species so that future generations will have that medicine available to them. And I think one of the most widely known plants that is at risk for extinction in the United States is American ginseng. And American ginseng is highly prized overseas, especially in traditional Chinese medicine. And it's an invaluable herb. If we lose it and it is no longer available in the wild, we will be forever without a vital medicine. And so it's important that everybody who uses herbal medicine considers how they can give back and protect it for future generations.
Absolutely. And that's an amazing initiative. So, what an eye opening conversation, Bonnie. Thank you for sharing your expertise and showing us how herbal medicine is evolving to be more effective than ever.
Thank
If,
you. Thank you for the time.
Mhm. If today's episode sparked your curiosity, check out Bonnie's work. Whether you're struggling with chronic pain or just looking for natural, effective alternative, Bonnie's insights could be life changing. And hey, if you love this episode, share it with a friend. Subscribe for more conversations like this, and let's keep making healthier choices together. Until next time, stay curious, stay empowered, and stay well.